And from the footages that we saw, the containers have been emptied, Reverend. They've been emptied.
All right, Moro, it is important to establish right at the outset that this scandal that had never happened before, of containers suddenly having wings to fly, is on the neck of the NDC. And they should not attempt to transfer responsibility whatsoever to any other government.
How
there's
so?
There's a local adage that says that Yedijawa, Yediaswao. Handing over was properly done. The transition period, is NDC telling me that they didn't have competent people handling the matters of energy during the transition period? And everything that was contained within the transition period and discussed were verified, including accounts, including everything was verified. You would recall from the trajectory when the minister, my very good friend and brother, Honorable Jinapo, started going. So we had 3,000 containers at the port. He was speaking to it. Even at the vetting, he was so confident. He must have verified it before he was bold enough to speak to the numbers. Then at another point, he comes to say, no, the containers are not 3,000, they are 2,500. Then another time he comes in and says they are 1,400. Then we get to hear that suddenly NDC has given wings to containers to fly. We have never heard that before. And so the attempt by my brother Wanda to even bring in mischievously the name of the respected minority leader, Honorable Osanya Apeyomakin, is most malicious and must be withdrawn. You don't want to bring in an innocent person's name. In any case, you came in throughout the transitions and you worked with David Asamoah, who was the managing director at the time. You worked with him until such a time, somewhere in February, you replaced him with Engineer Kwepena. So what happened between those periods? And all these people have been people who have worked, David Asamoah had been deputy MD before, Kwepena had been a director within ECG, and they are all inside people. Let them answer for how the wings, were given to the containers and flew. Don't bother a board chair who was there for a few months, a board chair who handles strategic matters, who doesn't handle day-to-day, clearing and the transfer and logistics. Please, that is most mischievous. Mm-hmm. Now, going forward, let us address the substance of the matter.
But before we get to the substance,
I want to address the substance.
No, just
of
a
the
quick
matter.
one. Just a quick one, Reverend. Are you disputing what the Indian man said, that he bought the containers last year?
I just started talking. If you allow me to talk.
Okay, that's fine.
Like the same way you allowed my friend Wanda to talk.
It depends on what you're saying.
He said a lot of contentious things. Now, the scandal which has happened under NDC, they have to take responsibility for it. They need to find every single container that they gave wings and it flew. And it is going to be the first test of this Minister for Energy. And he must prove that indeed, when you give opportunity to young people, they excel. But we are all young people. We all want him to succeed. This is his first test. Whatever wings were given to these containers, wherever they flew to, they must be brought back. Even if they've gone to Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, wherever they've been, they must be brought back. Mm-hmm. Now, 40 have been found. 40 is not enough. Mm-hmm. We need all of them to be recovered. And I am not so concerned about whose hands and which nationality it's in, because there's no Indian, there's no Chinese, there is no American, there is no Caribbean, there is no foreign national in Ministry of Energy, there is no foreign national at ECG. So before you even bring in foreign nationals, let us talk about ECG. What happened? What kind of competence, diligence, what kind of sincerity did they administer their job, and what did they do to it? Who sold it? If he's talking about buying it from last year, it's not just going to take his words, hook, line, center. It must be proven. He must prove it by the receipts he received. He must prove it by how much he paid it, who he bought it from.
You mean the Indian?
Yes, the Indian. He must prove it, whoever he bought it from. And when he bought it, he must prove it with all the evidence attached to it. And then the security agencies will have to track all that to confirm or deny what the claim he has made. But beyond the 40 is not enough. They must go ahead and recover every container that is missing and bring the perpetrators to book. You can launch criminal investigations, but we want to see the perpetrators brought to book when every single container has been brought. We have a very competent system in this country that trusts these logistics, where they go, where they move, who brought them, who moved them, where they've gone, even the vehicle numbers that transported them and all that. We have systems to check it. So the minister should not tell me that he cannot be on top of this. Every relevant security agency he needs, he has to cooperate with them. He has to employ them, deploy them to go into this matter. I've seen some initial committee. I'm not interested in the bureaucratic. I am interested in results that we've never heard before. NPP never gave wings to any container to fly. Every container that ECG imported during the 8-year period, there was not a single one that was given wings to fly. No one should shift responsibility. It is their time and they must fix it. ECG has grave issues to deal with. And just when we thought that we had handed over creditably to them with the lights on, for them to come and continue to keep our lights on, these are some of the excuses they are giving. You remember the 6,000 people whose markets and shops have been burnt, their life savings, earnings have been burnt in the Edum incident. My sympathies to all of them. Much as my sympathy goes out to the Kantamanto and the Techiman victims of the fire incident, and then the Odumase Konongo fire incident, which Speaker has referred to our committee to investigate. When you speak to about 10 of the traders, I'm just giving this hypothetical, and for every 10 traders or victims you speak to, 8 of them point to Dumso. 8 of them point to Dumso, 80% that they will interact with, who know their shop, who have been there for years, decades. They will tell you that it is Dumso that caused the fire outbreak. Then ECG quickly comes in to want to shift blame, to want to deny responsibility. They caused the fire. We will go into and establish it. So far, any 10 people you speak to who are victims, who have lost their investment, they will tell you it is a power fluctuation. So we want them to be competent at what we have bequeathed them to do. We want them to be competent at keeping our lights on. We want them to be competent at ensuring that the safety of shops, homes, you can spoil appliances, fridges and other things, but when you go further to destroying markets, it is unpardonable. It is the life savings of people. And so we want ECG to be up and doing. We want them to be competent. I can imagine the frustration this current government is having. You can clearly, anytime issues of power matters come up, they seem to exhibit extreme discomfort, extreme lack of control. They don't have control over the situation. And that is what they are exhibiting. And this is one of their first tests. So all we are asking for is keep the lights on, get into necessary logistics, sort out the financial issues, and then get the lights on. Ghanaians, you're not asking much. So this scandal, any attempt to politicize it, is an indication of failure, is a concession of failure right at the beginning. But instead of complaining and shifting blames to innocent people, they must, as a matter of urgency, within the next 1 month, they must bring wherever they've taken those containers. They must bring them, because there are a lot of communities that need transformers. There are a lot of communities that need extensions. A lot of communities that need meters. Households that need meters, and they are requesting for all these. The government has imported them, properly handed over. You have verified. Go and bring it for utilization. You are throwing your hands up in the air, and in despair, complaining. You didn't even have the accurate figures. They were changing narratives. So they must be held to account. They must demonstrate leadership, and beyond the rhetorics and beyond name calling, they must establish the culpability of anyone that has been culpable in giving wings. Historically, NDC, they do wonders. They do wonders and give wonderfully, magically giving wings to ECG containers to fly wherever they flew to. Those wings must be cut off and they must be brought back to ECG for the good people of this country who pay for it, who pay for the energy that they consume.
Okay.
They should be served. Okay. I mean, sometimes when you look at the excuses they give, it cannot be understood. You have taken over the affairs of this country. And one of the major things that you must do is to make sure all the households in this country, beyond the 6.3 million voters that voted for you, you keep their lights on. And in so doing, no acts of corruption, no scandal whatsoever should be condoned.
Okay.
So they should not say, nah, it was bought last year and it was so and so. If it was bought last year, which day last year? Who sold it? They should. My good brother Neil and Giovanna Paul.
Right.
We're all asking for the same thing.
Okay.
Because crime doesn't know colors. And let us stop associating colors with crime. If somebody has given wings to containers to fly, somebody has sold containers that belong to ECG, it doesn't matter whether they are CPP, MPP, or NDC. We are interested in getting to the bottom. I am not interested in excuses. I'm interested in getting to the bottom.
That's fine.
And whoever is culpable, that is what we want. So I don't want the attempt to politicize and call Afenyo Markin's name and all. That is why I disagree.
No
but
problem.
I am saying that they should go into the bottom of the matter.
Okay.
And bring out the perpetrators.
Okay.
And yes, and then not only touch on the foreign nationals.
Okay.
They should bring the locals within ECG who sold it.
Hopefully the investigation will unravel all of that.
But we don't want this to be just like one other committees that was set, and one other investigations that was set, and then you hear some people have gone to see, they've gone to Flagstaff House, and then after coming down, the thing has been swept somewhere to be another. This one is going to be their first test.
This is about the third time you're saying this.
Whichever name and whichever color is associated, crime knows no color.
Okay.
Let them bring them.
No problem.